Ladies and gentlemen, the property market has changed. Boy, has it changed, and fast. Up crazy, level crazy. Stay tuned. We're going to talk about it with us real estate experts.
Market's up, market's down, market goes round and round. It's like, seriously, I feel like it's all everyone talks about, the roller coaster of the real estate ride.
Yeah.
Crazy times, crazy times. All right. So tonight, hi everyone. Good evening. You've got Mark and myself this evening. Tonight we're going to be addressing what is going on in the real estate market. We know it's been fast and furious these last few months, but we saw signs, right, a couple of weeks ago that it was starting to level out. And so we just want to explain tonight what actually that does mean. Is it normal? And what's going on? Because not everyone follows real estate like we do, let's face it, Mark. And, I think it's really important that we keep people up to speed with what we're seeing on the ground. Northern Beaches, but I think this ripple effect is being felt right across the country, from what I understand from speaking with other agents. What do you think?
Yeah, look, it's a big topic because it's the biggest asset class in our country, like stock market, property market. Like the property market is a big boy, big girl, whatever you decide, but it can make you feel happy, it can make you feel sad. And to put that into perspective, if your property value had halved in the last 3 months or in the last 12 months, boy, would we have your attention. Equally, when the market's going up, boy, have we got your attention. So the thing that you and I, Lise, and the whole team at Novak always gets asked is, what's happening, what's it doing? And not necessarily pinned to sales either. Rentals is a big one as well, you know what I mean? So, what's happening out there? Let's get into it.
Okay, so here's what we're saying. Let's rewind 3 months ago. The property market was absolutely fast and furious. All of a sudden, buyers came out of the woodwork from everywhere. Now, guys, bear in mind, we're based on the Northern Beaches. And let's just clear up a few facts here. Realestate.com.au reported the Northern Beaches were outperforming most other areas of Sydney. The data, and I don't talk numbers a lot, but the data was significant. And fact, Northern Beaches was outperforming most areas of Sydney. And there's good reason why. People are throwing in the towel and they're saying, I don't need to be close to the CBD any longer. I can go live where I want. Right? So that's exactly what people were doing. They were saying, I only need to commute into the city now once a week. I can work from home the rest of the time. I'm going to sell up in Paddington. I'm going to sell up in West Pennant Hills. I'm going to go move to the Northern Beaches. It's what we've dreamt of our whole lives. And likewise, a lot of those people on the Northern Beaches were saying, you know what? We can sell up here on the Northern Beaches. We can cash in $2 or $3 million on our house, and we can go live in Port Macquarie for half the price. We can bank $1 million. So we've seen this, Mark, you named it really well. You called it the one ring effect. Everyone was moving one ring out. Okay.
Yeah, so do you want to explain that?
Sure.
So basically the inner rung of Sydney CBD was one rung. Next rung was like inner west, inner east, your rush cutters, and inner north, which was like your Mossman Neutral Bay. The next rung out, etc., etc., etc. And those rungs even reached as far as wide as Newcastle, Coffs, and going out real wide.
Yeah, so we've seen this massive ripple effect. Now, Northern Beaches, as we mentioned, has outperformed in the last, let's call it 3 months, has outperformed every other area of Sydney. Amazing news. The buyers were in abundance. There was a fury of buyers and there was a massive shortage of stock. And the reason why there's been a massive shortage of stock is because people are nervous. Every vendor I speak to says, Lisa, you're going to get me a great price for my property. Where am I going to go? I'm scared I'm not going to be able to afford anything. The gap got bigger. All right.
Yep.
So you sold up your, let's call it a $1.8 million property as an example. The gap, the jump to get to the next level was at about 3 mil. So people were saying, I'm scared that A, the gap's going to be too big, and B, I'm not going to be able to find anything because stock levels have been so low. And then on the flip side, we've had a huge amount of buyers in the marketplace. We just have not been able to fulfill the amount of buyers with the level of stock. Now, things have changed significantly over the last couple of weeks. We saw it already a few weeks ago. We did report that we saw it, where the buyers were less. Guys, just let me just say this, the market is not bottoming out. It's leveling out. All right. So
that's a great word. Leveling.
Yeah. It is leveling out. It's finding its natural level now. So it climbed about 20% on the northern beaches. That is a significant growth in just 3 years. Over what period of time would we usually see that kind of growth, Mark?
Oh, look, when people say property values double, if you're doing 10% a year for 7 years, that's doubling. And just to mess with your heads a little bit, it's because it compounds. So it doesn't go 12%, 11%, 10%, 8% over a 10-year period. If we can hit those levels of 10% every year for 7 years over a 10-year period, that will be double. That's what we expect.
Right, but it all happened quite quickly. So it all happened over that 3-month period. COVID obviously slowed things down. The market went up, came down, and then all of a sudden springboarded straight back up again. We saw an increase more so than what everyone was anticipating. But now what we're seeing, and this is my opinion, all right? So vendors were gifted a 20% increase on their properties. Okay.
Yep.
Then some vendors were saying
3 months.
In 3 months.
Particularly with houses, not units.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's significant to point that out. So then some vendors were saying, I want more than 20%. I want 40%. I want 50%. All right. And some vendors got greedy with their expectations, and buyers said, you know what? We've had enough. We're already overpaying. We don't want to overpay anymore. And so we're either not buying here in Sydney, we're going to go buy elsewhere, or we're just going to put the pause button on for a moment and just see where the property market goes. And then that's what's happened. It's just slowed things down. Now the market is starting to level out. That's what we're seeing.
It's good news, though. It's good news, guys and girls. You've got to understand, if the market is doing a rate of 10 or 20% in 3 months, that's potentially, if it continued that rate, that's almost double in a year. That's sitting at a rate, if it did 20% every quarter, that's 80% for a year. That is scary shit. So I'm happy. It is great news, everyone, that the market has a new level. It is great news that the market has a new level, because if it continued violent and aggressive and up and going up 20% a quarter, we would be creating a lot of trouble for a lot of people. So I'm happy that we've calmed the farm.
And look, not only that, but people don't like uncertainty. So when the market's climbing and climbing and climbing and climbing, everyone knows eventually the bubble's going to burst. All right. And I kept saying to a lot of my vendors, it's not sustainable. They were saying, Lisa, what do we do? Do we sell now? Yes, sell now if you want to, but what's your plan? Where are you going to go? What are you going to buy? I saw so many vendors, if they had the capabilities, Mark, so many vendors, more so than I've ever seen before, were actually buying before they were selling. We don't see that in real estate. They were like, we're scared. We don't know where we're going to go. Not only that, there has been stock around. So much stock has been transacted. And I don't like using the word off market, because we use Premarket, but so much stock has been transacted off market or away from those real estate portals. You go onto realestate.com.au, you go onto domain.com.au, there's not much stock there. They're the lowest we've ever seen on those portals.
Oh, yeah.
You go to the sold section or you go to RP data, it tells a very different story. All right. So the stock is being transacted. It's just moving in different portals. It's almost like an underworld, a real estate underworld, right? It's being transacted in a different way. But more so than ever, I have seen vendors buying property before they sell, which comes with its own set of risks. All right. But they wanted the security of knowing that they weren't going to be homeless. They didn't want to be outpriced in a market that was moving so quickly. Now, the risk with doing that, buying before you actually sell, is you might have gone and bought a house for $2.5 million. Maybe you could have afforded a house for $3 million because you just don't know if your property was going to sell for more. All right. We come in with our proposals and our guides with our 10% variance. And I can tell you now, more often than not, a lot of these properties have been selling for way more than what these vendors expected that they were going to get.
Crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, can I just show our friends what I've got here?
Sure.
This is really, really interesting. I'm going to share this with you for a second. This is really, really interesting stuff. And I saw it come up today, and I thought the friends at Catalyst have brought that. What's been really interesting is this. This is the rationale. So if people are trying to understand why there is less stock on the market, our friends at Catalyst have put this together for us. This is absolutely genius. Lise, can you read that there?
I can't see it, but I'm looking at a screen on my eye.
So 9 out of survey that's done, 9 out of 10 people, I'm looking to my right because I'm reading this as well. 9 out of 10 people, owners are hesitating to sell their home because they're the low stock. They have to buy something in the next market. So the biggest reason why people aren't selling is they are worrying about what the hell are they going to buy.
There you
One.
go. Yep.
2, lender timing and credit complexity, which is this puppy here, right? So the general timing to loan assessment has been over 4 weeks. That's really important. That's why people aren't listing as well. The next one, having to sell before they purchase. So these 3 rationale are the 3 main reasons why there is such low stock in the market.
It's really interesting, and Mark, you were speaking with a real estate agent last week who's been in the game for over 50 years, and he was saying he's never, ever seen the market like this. Never seen property prices increase at this rate, never seen such shortage on the market, never seen such fierce buyer activity. So it's really interesting times, and it's been very tricky with us real estate agents because when vendors say, what do I do? Do I sell? Do I buy? What do I do? It's not like we can go back. Often we can refer back 40 years to see the cycle of what that market was doing. It's been really tricky, right? And then it's also been very tricky with our price adjustments because I know I had appraised a property 3 or 4 months ago, and these vendors contacted me and said, look, market's great, want to put the property on the market. I had to go back to them with a proposal. It was a very different price, estimation of price that they were going to be getting. The market had shifted that quickly and obviously in their favour. But it has been tricky with us agents. I know there's been some talk about underquoting and all that sort of stuff, but please bear in mind, the market has been changing so swiftly week to week. It's often hard to just try and keep up with it. It has been really, really interesting times, that's for sure. But the good news is people do like to work with certainty. It is starting to level itself out now. Property prices are remaining strong. Buyer activity is remaining strong. It's not as fast and furious as we saw it a few weeks ago, but there are plenty of buyers out there. What I'm finding as well, Mark, with the buyers, it seems to be the very experienced buyers that are left in the marketplace now. That's what I'm finding. These guys seem to really know what they're doing.
It's experience and it's confidence. It's experience and it's confidence.
Yeah.
They're confident they're going to get into the next place if they sell. They're confident they got their finance organised.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what's nice now where we are 3 months down the line in this marketplace is that buyers, they understand the market and that they've got to offer quick and fast. There doesn't seem to be a lot of the mucking around that there was initially. We would say to buyers, guys, you can give me an offer here at the open home verbally. I'll need it in writing. But by the time we connect again on Saturday evening or Monday morning or whatever it may be, just understand this property might be sold. The buyers would look and go, I know, you're just a salesperson. Yeah, you're going to say that, right? And it really was selling. Now they actually truly believe that's the situation. I had 3 of my properties on Saturday. I had offers at the open homes at all of those properties. Buyers well and truly understand exactly the expectation of them and that they do need to move quickly if they want to nab a great property.
It's huge. There's another thing I want to share with you now as well, because, I'm loving this.
You've got all these goodies tonight, Mark.
I've got all these goodies. So CoreLogic, I like CoreLogic because these guys collect every single sale in the country. And if you have a look at this, what's really amazing is the lack of stock that's on the market. So we worry about Northern Beaches, Sydney, but this is national. So national, have a look at this. Have a look at this little puppy here. This is what stock levels have done over the last 11 years, and look how low the stock is. It's coming to a 10-year low. That's good for capital growth. And on market for less than 30 days, look at that. It's gone bananas. It is a historic low. So that's another. So I know I don't have to convince anyone that there's low stock on the market. We all know that, but it is happening across the country, which I think is very interesting.
Well, that is interesting because it doesn't usually, right? It usually works again in its ebbs and flows. So when Sydney's really overperforming, often Melbourne's struggling, or, but we're seeing collectively right across Australia, this seems to be happening in every single state. What's different about this market is it's happening in regional areas as well. So we don't usually see that. Normally those guys will struggle. It'll be super quiet, but we're speaking with agents. Actually, we've got some agents coming on Thursday morning from Alice Springs.
Yes.
They're going to be joining us on Novak Morning Minutes. It's going to be really interesting to see what these guys have to say. Like Alice Springs, with all due respect, but like who would ever think about buying property in Alice Springs from Sydney? But it's going to be really interesting to hear what those guys have to say. But it doesn't matter who we're talking to, Mark. Bathurst agents. I spoke to someone today from there. It's gone bananas. Wagga, Newcastle, Coffs Harbour, all these areas, these guys just can't get their hands on enough stock. The market has gone berserk.
Is it a question? Is it sustainable in the property market to continue this growth? Is it sustainable for out of Sydney areas to keep this growth? So I've always been a big fan of Sydney. I think climatically it's always been a great place. Economically, it's been a great place. Jobs-wise, it's been a great place. Weather-wise, it's been a great place. For a lot of transport-wise, it's been a great place. But all the reasons Sydney has been fantastic for 100 years is the same reason Sydney is going to be fantastic for the next 100 years. Now, I'm just a bit worried that the outer areas where people are taking all of their money to are going to perform as well in the long term. I'm not trying to fearmonger people about sticking to Sydney and sticking to the Northern Beaches, but I just think we really should have a good, long, hard think about when COVID comes, when COVID goes, when COVID goes, when COVID goes, when COVID is really gone in 5 or 10 or 15 years, is that romance that people have with Gosford or Newcastle or South or those areas, is that romance still going to be a strong flame?
Yeah, but this is not a one night affair that these people are having, Mark, with these areas. Anyone that I know that I have sold for and that has moved into any of these areas, and there's been a ton of people on the Northern Beaches that are moving out of area. And likewise, there's a ton of people that are moving into the Northern Beaches from out of area as well. But none of this has been a knee-jerk.
That's important. That's important to mention, Lise. I think that you've got to a winner that we've had is we've lost people north, 1 hour, 5 hours, 12 hours. We've lost people south, 1 hour, 5 hours. But in an interesting way, we've got people that have come to us. So there's been an amazing churn that some areas. I think the biggest loser has been CBD of Sydney, the inner rung, because who the hell is going in the city to live? What for? Whereas the people that are going out to live half an hour away, they're coming to us. Very interesting.
Oh, definitely. And at all my open homes, I'm always fascinated. Like, I'm always asking, are you guys from around the area? Honestly, I can tell you now, about 70% of buyers that I'm dealing with at the moment are not from the Northern Beaches. They're coming from everywhere. West Pennant Hills, Hornsby, Chatswood, the eastern suburbs, Willoughby. They're coming from everywhere. And they're coming in the droves. But we've also got a whole lot of Northern Beaches people that are actually moving out as well. But just getting back to what I was saying before, Mark, none of this has been a knee-jerk reaction. A lot of vendors that I've sold for in the last few months, they're moving. These guys were thinking about this for a really long time. It was always this very romantic dream. Wouldn't it be nice to go live in Noosa? You know, or they've got family in Coffs Harbour, or they bought a property in, like, we met some vendors today. They bought a property in Coffs Harbour years ago, and now they've decided, you know what, stuff it, we don't have to be here anymore, we're going to sell up, we're going to go live there. So none of this has happened quickly for these people. It's something, as I said, that they've been, you know, thinking about doing for a very, very long time, and COVID has just enabled it, and it's given them that opportunity to do so. But I think, you know, just to give, so buyers, to give you a little bit of peace of mind, the market appears to be leveling out now. It appears to be leveling out. Vendors, you have not missed the opportunity to sell. The market has climbed, and now it's starting to find its true level for the time being. That's not to say that this market is not going to take off again in weeks, in months. Who only knows? Because there are still so many factors that are going to drive this market. The international market's one of them. I still feel that that's still a little way I think we're a little way off with that. I do. But I would suggest in the next 12 to 24 months, that international market's going to be another driver to push up these property prices.
That is an open checkbook for our government.
Let's wait and see. Let's see what the government does, though.
Really is. Well, I'll tell you what they'll do. The government, they're going to open the borders. You're going to want to travel there. They're going to not let you travel there because they haven't opened their borders for those people to come here. So I'll get to that in a second. I just want to also show contributing factors to our market. COVID affected our market. Now, this is from our friends, again, Catalyst Group, amazing guys, very good finance brokers, very good fund money managers. They do everything. According to the leading agents, current levels of stock are largely due to a quieter spring selling season due to lockdowns, an increase in the duration of the average property ownership. So believe it or not, people have decided to stay in their property for longer. Just that shift. If everyone, your average used to be 7 years, but with stamp duty like it is, it's pretty hard to keep flopping around in and out of properties when you're losing 4% every time you're in and out of them.
I tell you what, you only need to just look around at how much renovating is being done. Like, you try and get your hands on a builder or a tradie, right? And there is the truth of exactly what people are doing. So I've done, I reckon I've done half a dozen appraisals in the last 2 weeks where vendors have said to me, can you please come and give us pricing on what we get for the property as is? But could you also let us know what would happen once we renovate, and this is what we're going to do to the property? So
that's what Lisa's just covered right here, which is an increase in properties being renovated, so they're staying in there longer. And then Lisa, you're solely responsible for all of Australia for this one here, off-market activity. An increase in off-market transactions, almost 30% of Sydney, where property is not marketed by typical channels, REA and Domain. Guys, if you understand this, you can understand the property market like a champion.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, and again, like obviously I talk a lot about, you know, the whole I call it pre-market, that, you know, many people in the industry call it off market. But, you know, the reality was property has been transacted away from those real estate portals. I've been doing it now for 3 years. The industry has been doing it now for however many months. But, you know, it's really interesting to watch that shift. That's not a fad. That is not a fad. Vendors have enjoyed transacting that way, and buyers have enjoyed transacting that way. The amount of buyers that will call me and say, I don't want to buy something that's on the portals. I want to buy a property that's off market. Mark, I swear, I must get 10 phone calls like that a day. I get phone calls from buyers that are now saying, can you let me know before it goes onto your social media, please?
That can be called designer buying and designer selling the way you want it.
Well, you know, and the buyer's agents, they're having an absolute field day. They're having a field day, right? Because they're the ones that are exposed to all the off-market stuff.
They're reading great.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. But you know what it is? It's individualization, and it's what I talk. If you go back to my videos from 3 years ago, I talked about it a lot. And that's why people like the whole social media buying, selling strategy, because it's individualization. You don't need to feel like everyone else following the herds. Everyone can just do it their way. You feel like that property has been served up for you on a platter just for you. And there's magic in that.
It's huge. Now, before we sign off, Lise, international borders. So, guys, you're freaking out. You're thinking, okay, this market's too hot. It's not sustainable. It is because of the international market. And the reason why is the sea change and the tree change that we've had on a domestic level has been 27 million people buying from 27 million people. So we've completely supported, self-sustained our property market without the other countries in the world. Completely. Unbelievable. Yeah. So what's going to happen when the tree change and the sea change on an international scale happens and the borders are all open, all unlocked? Are they running from Australia or are they running to Australia? Because when there's 6 billion people in the world and they're running from Australia or to Australia, I reckon they're all going to be coming right here, especially the people that can afford it. And those are the people that are going to buy, and that means that's going to be a kick onto our property market. So I'm encouraging friends and family, if you have the ability to do an upgrade, if you need it, if you have the ability to make an investment, if you need it, and you can do it, now is the time before all of the international peeps come over and start buying our stuff. And they will.
I have to tell you, it started. Yeah. We were at a function yesterday. We spoke to, I'm going to remind you of this now. There were 2 people that you spoke to at that very small function. It was only 30 people. It was a friend's birthday. There were 2 families there that have just come here to live. Do you remember? One was from America and one was from China. Those guys have come here to live. It started already. The floodgates haven't even opened yet. It started already. But guys, don't wait off for the international market. That is definitely not my advice. Don't wait off. That's going to be a whole new wave. That'll be a whole different wave. You know, my advice is always, you've got to buy and sell when the time works for you. The market is still absolutely phenomenal. It is starting to level out. It is a wonderful time to transact property. It always is, as long as you're transacting in the same market, especially when it's a little bit volatile like it is at the moment. I reckon that's a wrap.
Buy before the internationals do. That is our message from today on the ever-changing property market. And boy, it does not stand still. Up, down, left, right. It's boinging around like crazy. Can we sign off on rentals as well? Rentals is stable. It's good. Landlords are happy. Tenants are happy. It's a controlled environment. Unfortunately, it's the poor cousin always in real estate. I don't like that, because I think there's a hell of a lot of important tenants and landlords that need to be updated on information. But it's just a nice, stable environment, low interest rates for landlords. The rents are even more competitive than they were. That growth out of the rental market has stopped. So for a tenant to rent a really nice house or a really nice unit, it's very achievable.
It's also a great way to try before you buy. If you're thinking about moving to the Northern Beaches, come rent a house first, trial it out. It is a great opportunity for you. But the great thing is with the rental market, it's quite forgiving. An adjustment usually of $20 or $30 will generally see you find a great tenant. I reckon that's a wrap, Mr. Novak.